Hey everybody, uh, coming in here on the wavelength uh, to let you know in the aftermath of the debut of the first episode of Mondo Profondo, which I'm proud of, and I hope you enjoyed. I'm just gonna do a little rap again, somewhat related to an earlier one where I talked about David Cronenberg and his unnaturally great capacity to adapt literary texts to the screen in inventive and revolutionary ways. And now I'm going to talk about today a thornier subject. A filmmaker I love at least as much as Cronenberg, the German film director Rainer Werner Fassbinder, a real anarchist and a real bulldozer of a person. Uh, uh, he made a lot of great films. In fact, it took him a while to kind of figure out what he was doing. Him and his theater crew were learning as they were going. So of the films made before Beware of a Holy Whore, I'm only really interested personally in Katzelmacher, which is the most like an experimental play, which is normally what they did. That one's neat and a real cool historical document. Not exactly flashy or smooth. Um, but then he starts to, after Beware of a Holy Whore, really kick into high gear, and especially landmark of Immersion of Four Seasons. Anyway, as it goes along, he gets bigger, different kinds of projects, and he keeps making 5, 6 films a year or whatever. Saying you'll sleep when you're dead before he dies, before 40. Uh, and some of them are not great. Most of them are amazing. I mean, almost all of them. But I've got some problems with his literary adaptations. 3 of them that I call egregious, or almost like crimes. Crimes against the writers who wrote the original source novels. Um, and I don't know how it all was allowed to happen, but I know that Cocaine and Despair had a lot to do with it, because in the last years we made Despair, adapted from Nabokov, an unadapt. I mean, any sensible director looking at that book, finishing it, well, you can't make this into a movie that makes sense to most of the audience. So this is unfilmable. But he did it in English with Dirk Borgard, and it's horrible. It's a mess and embarrassing. And you'll see it again in Querelle, once again in English. Like, clearly he doesn't know the language well and has decided he doesn't really need to pay much attention to the actors or their performances. And they're all a mess, these movies. Querelle's the greatest offense, I think, personally, because to me, growing up, that was my favorite novel by Jean Genet. It's his most poetic. It's his most just fecund and rich with language and words. He didn't usually write that way, and it's a profound and beautiful novel. And the movie's a sloppy piece of shit. Now I'm going to talk about something a little controversial. Maybe I don't know if my Beefheart opinion was controversial, but I don't like Berlin Alexander Platz one bit. Big long miniseries that a lot of people over the years have called Fassbinder's best work, and it's not. It's slow, turgid, dramatically inert for long periods. It feels like it's been given a powerful sedative for much of the time. And the insane thing, Arthur Doblin, a doctor from Germany in the Weimar period, right between the 2 wars, the planetary jazz age, the novel is like an antic slapstick postmodern thing meets Rabelais. Everybody seems like they're on nitrous oxide and running around and knocking into furniture. I mean, that's the kind of novel it is. So, what the and he said it was like my favorite novel. I thought it was this giant thing in German literature. Well, then why the fuck did you do that way? Like, well, I can't make it the way the novel is, so I'll make a Fassbinder film. Not in this case, you shouldn't have. Well, so those are some pretty harsh words for a man who admittedly was a genius and a master of cinema. And just one industrious little bunny rabbit. Fuck me.